Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just this past weekend, I caught a lecture on Facebook Live, and it was the brothers at the Imam Muslim Family Center. The seminar rather that they had was on gun violence, and it was on gun safety, and they were teaching proper usage of a weapon, weapon safety, and the talk was given by, they had brought in a weapons expert, and the talk was targeted to the mainly African American youth who frequented the masjid in which the talk was being given. During or at the beginning of the talk, the brother told the youth, move forward, come forward. The adults, stay back. Questions that needed to be asked or wanted to be asked, the youth had first shot at asking questions. In other videos that I've made, I talked about a tactical da'wah. A da'wah that's sort of tailor-made for the specific pathologies and obstacles that demographics have, certain demographics. In this case, we're talking about African Americans. There are specific issues that we have that stem from our history, that stem from not only the history, but the systems and institutions that are in place from the beginning to what we have today. So, we go from slavery to the black codes and black laws to Jim Crow, from Jim Crow to mass incarceration, and all of that, and, everything that entails, because it is a ripple effect from those systemic oppressions. It's a ripple effect. It doesn't just affect one thing, but it affects everything. Mass incarceration, you take the black male out of the house, that affects the family, that affects the community, that affects the dynamics between the husband and wife. It affects children. It affects leadership. I mean, it's a ripple effect. So again, back to tactical da'wah. The brothers at the Imam Muslim Family Center. You've heard me mention them, previously, along with Sheikh Tahir Wyatt, who, to my understanding, was across town at another masjid giving the men a lecture about manhood and marriage. Again, tactical da'wah. We're talking about a da'wah that is addressing issues that are sort of specific to us that need to be addressed, thus far have yet to be addressed by some of the other callers to Islam that we've had on the microphone in our communities, coming into our communities, giving lectures. Some of the issues that need to be addressed have not been addressed. So far, we've had a lot of qila wa qala. We've had a lot of he said, she said. We've had a lot of finger pointing. We've had a lot of refutation. We had a lot of this person is off it because of this. This person is off it, for that reason. You can't take from this person. The sheikh said something about that person, blah, 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 blah. The whole time in the community, the wheels are spinning and nothing's getting done. So this seminar that the brothers just had at the Imam Muslim Family Center, it was the Imam Ali Davis, it was Imam Abu Sajid, and there was one or two other people who I'm not quite familiar with, but those two I do know. I wanted to thank them for having a much, much, much needed seminar. Weapon safety. What do you do if you find a gun? What if you're in the street and a shootout happens? What is the difference between cover and concealment? Where should you hide if you are walking home from school and, Lord forbid, a gunfight breaks out and you're near cars? Do you hide in the back of the car? Do you hide in the front of the car? All of these these questions were answered along with others. What if you're at your friend's house and your friend says, hey, look at my father's gun? What do you do? What if it was so many different scenarios. And the beauty of it was you could hear the questions coming from the youth, not from the adults so much. The adults asked some questions. They did. They asked some questions, but the majority of the questions came from the youth. If they don't have a place to ask these questions, how are they going to get the answers, and how are they going to know how to conduct themselves if something were to happen or if they're placed in a situation? This seminar was gorgeous. It was beautiful. I love the way it was ran. I like the fact that they brought in an expert, that, maybe these brothers are not versed in weaponry and they didn't attempt to just give an Islamic based, information laced speech to these youth who may or may not be engaged in that. They may not really want to hear that. They framed it in such a manner that it was engaging for the youth. And I could tell because they were asking questions. We have issues in our communities that metastasize. Historically, they metastasize and get worse and worse and worse and are not addressed. We as Muslims need to address our own issues. We as African American Muslims, first and foremost in our communities, need to address the issues that are most pertinent and most salient to us. We have to start that ball rolling. Many times you'll find people do not want to get on the ground floor, grassroots. They don't want to come in when the actual work is being done, but people will pile on once the ship has sailed. Once everything is up and moving, then people will come aboard. So it's important that we support these brothers. Again, Imam Muslim Family Center. Go to YouTube. You can find them on Facebook. Look up Imam Ali Davis. Look up Imam Abu Sajid. Look up Sheikh Tahir Wyatt. Look up Sheikh Muhammad Mufti Munir. Find their lectures, seek them out. And I continuously say their names, and I continuously mention the Imam Muslim Family Center because in other videos that I've made, people have thanked me for turning them on to them. I'd never heard of them. Some people have never heard of them. They are located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in the United States, in Pennsylvania. Reach out to them, support them. If you have the ability to financially support the Imam Muslim Family Center, then by all means. If you have the means to support them only in dua, then so be it. Dua is great. We need it, or they need it. All of us need it. I wanted to, and then this happened. Now, I have children, and I wanted to sit down with my children and show them the conference after it was already recorded. And my kids were like, how long is it? You know how kids are. They're 11 and 9. They're like, how long is it? When I showed them how long it was, they both sighed. They weren't really, my children have never been around any type of anything street violent, none of that. I'm from Detroit. They're not from here, so they don't know anything about this. But the fact that we are in the States right now, I think it's very important that they have some knowledge of what to do, because you never know, what's going to happen. But anyway, after we watched the video, they sighed through it, and then they were engaged in certain parts when they saw that other youth were engaged. But today it hit home for them. Today it hit home. In the city that I'm in right now, an 11-year-old girl got shot. She got caught in crossfire between two warring factions. Driving up the street in a car, start blasting. The other side start blasting. Somehow this 11-year-old girl got hit with a stray bullet. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, she is not dead from what I heard on the news that she's going to recover, but she was shot at 11 years old nonetheless. So when I was in my vehicle today with my children, I turned around and I began to ask my son some questions in reference to information that was given in the lecture. And, some stuff he could answer, some stuff he couldn't. What he couldn't, his sister would chime in. And then I said, okay, now this is where it hit home. I looked at my daughter. I said, I was at the gym today and I was watching the news, and an 11-year-old girl got shot. And she got caught in crossfire. And the look on both of their faces, like it seemed like it hit home at that point, because I explained to them, this kind of violence can jump off anywhere at any time, and you need to be prepared. You need to already have a plan. You can't wait and react in the moment. You need to already know, or at least have somewhat of a plan of what you should do. So when I, spoke to them about that 11-year-old girl being shot, I think the bell, I saw the bell ring, especially in my daughter's head. She looked like she was flabbergasted. She was, I could see the concern in her face, and my son just sort of sat there, and I told him, you may be out with your mother and your sister and something happened and you're the only male there. You need to have some idea of what to do. So we're going to take the time to go back over that lecture again. I'm going to sit with my son, inshallah. But it's good to have a source to be able to take my son to. So alhamdulillah, not to bloviate the issue, my hat's off to the brothers at the Imam Muslim Family Center. Imam Ali Davis and Abu Sajid and Sheikh Tahir Wyatt and Mufti Munir. And I'm sure behind the scenes, there are a plethora of brothers that support them in many, many, many different ways. So hats off to them too. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of you and give you continued success and continue to give you the ability and the platform to give the people what they need. So I just wanted to say those few words, and hopefully, this short video rather, and these names that I've given, hopefully it'll, entice some people to go do some investigating and look into these brothers and the Imam Muslim Family Center and benefit from the many videos that they have on YouTube and on Facebook. So alhamdulillah, that's it. I'm sort of in a hurry tonight. I have to get to the airport. So that's it. I hope everyone is good, and we'll speak another day. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.